Why in the fuck hell is Twitter now called X?
Because it's cooler, man. X.
It sounds like a bad
like
movie.
Like a cologne?
Or like a porn movie. I don't know.
Like a porn? Yeah.
Like I thought I downloaded a new app on my phone. I was like, what the fuck is this?
You're like, what's this, dude? Oh, man, I didn't mean to download that porn app. Oh.
You log in and it's the same Twitter with, lots of sports news and naked chicks and things like that. But
yeah.
Oh, that not tell you who I follow or anything. But but it's called X, and like you can't even call them tweets anymore. I don't know.
Yeah, that's weird. What do you call it now?
I don't get it, man. It's like, why change it? It'd been known for Twitter for years. It's like even Facebook was smart enough when they very briefly for a moment considered calling it Meta instead of changing it from Facebook. They realized very quickly that was not going to be a good idea, even though it's owned by Meta. The company's name is Meta, but they realized changing the actual product's name was not a good idea. And I wonder if this will go back to being called Twitter. Maybe it's just like a publicity thing. And like, oh, we're just joking. It's really called Twitter.
Yeah, maybe it was like a marketing ad for, maybe something else. Because they put a big X up and now it's like down. So it's yeah. Someone took a picture of a crane or skyscraper or a little scaffolding up there where they were taking it down. So it's like, was it just a stunt, I
don't want to go change our website and have to change the logo and all that. That's a lot of work. I mean,
it is
a Twitter bird there already, it's like, I guess when you're a bazillionaire like Elon Musk is, you can do weird things and people don't question you. They're just like, oh, he's rich. He's weird.
Yeah. I mean, he bought it. I mean, if he wants to, fold it up into a swan and, call it, poopery, I guess he can do it,
Yeah. I don't completely quite I'll look at Twitter for news and stuff, and we'll put the shows on there on our Twitter at Rebel Radio Pod, and but I don't really quite. I guess you have to be witty to be like a true Twitter user. That's what I get out of it. Like you have to create good tweets and content and be kind of witty for people to really care about what you're saying. And that's not me.
It takes a style, that's for sure.
Yeah, and so I guess I don't quite fit into that crowd of Twitter people.
Yeah,
I think it's more of a millennial thing. They tend to get it a little bit more.
I think so. I still hardly use it, but I do see some cool stuff on there every once in a while.
It's great for porn.
Yeah, great for porn.
What?
Great for the food porn. Food porn.
That's right.
Yeah.
On that note, this is the Rebel Radio Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. And it is still deep in the heart of Texas, hotter than fucking balls. I mean, good Lord. And people go, how do you live down in Texas? And, we always get the excuse, oh, you get used to it. Man, I don't know, dude. I'm not one to normally complain. I just accept the fact I live in Texas.
Yeah.
God dang. This really, truly is some of the hottest fucking weather we've ever had. It is
for real.
You can't go outside without everything just sweating. Your body droops down and you're just like this,
Man, I've never had so many people that I know from work, miss work because of heat related illnesses. And it's like
not taking care of themselves and being pussies, but that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, not drinking enough water. It's like that shit'll expose itself real quick. If you ain't drinking enough water, especially in this heat. I mean, I was just outside, securing the truck bed that I was, utilizing today, and I was like, just operating some ratchet straps, so it wasn't doing any hard work. I'm fucking melting out there.
Shit. And you're down. Well, you're down near the coast, man. We record most of our episodes remotely, but our normal remote is 10 minutes apart from where we live. But Matt's about 5 hours away, near the south coast of Texas. That's the dedication we bring to you. The show
That's right.
Just go on no matter what.
Doesn't matter what zip code or area of Texas we're in. We're going to bring it to you.
That's right. And, We do rip it, man. We just go. I mean, every now and then we've had a few times where, someone's been sick and we like, or technical difficulties, like, well, no show this week. But man, I think we've only taken 1 week off this year, and that was at New Year's.
Yeah.
And we might
New Year's
make it that far again and just go all the way to the end and take New Year's off like we normally do. And we'll see. Because right now, that's the plan. Was making a list today, planning out movies almost for the rest of the year. I mean, I definitely had the last 3 weeks of the year kind of planned out.
Yeah.
We'll do our annual Christmas Batman film of some sort, and we will finish off the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and there's a couple other things in there. It'll be nice, fun surprise movies. And our annual Halloween Horrors Month is coming up here real soon, and we got Matt's birthday pick next week, but this week is my birthday pick of the month. My birthday is coming Tuesday. You guys will have this show in your ears by then, and so this was my annual birthday pick this week, and it's a good one, man. And I'm looking forward to talking about it here.
It is, man. I'm looking forward to talking about it too.
Yeah, I don't want to talk too much about my birthday because as you get older, birthdays aren't as much fun, man. You're like, you start feeling like you have less of them in front of you than you do more of them in front of you as you get older.
Yeah. As you get older, you're like, oh man, I'm going the wrong way.
That's the morbid truth, man. And,
yeah,
it's just like, fuck, man. I mean, a couple of years, man, we'll be. I hope you fellas throw me a 50th birthday in a couple of years. I mean,
got to.
And, I'm not saying like I'm expecting it, but I'd appreciate it. We had a fucking big shindig for my 40th back a few years ago. Remember that?
We did, man. We had a nice one.
Yeah, so 50, man. And that seems like just yesterday we did that, man. And now we'll have 50 coming up. But you know what the thing is now, though? In a couple of years when I turn 50, man, we'll have to have it at my brother's house again like we did my 40th. The only difference is this time he has a pool.
Oh, yeah, dude. You're going to have to.
People are going to have to bring it. Girls in bikinis.
That's right. We're going to invite the whole block, boats and hoes, baby.
That's right. And that's a good times roll.
That's right.
My voice is low. I've had a hell of a week, man. We had inventory at work and a stupid meeting at work. Well, I should say stupid. Actually, of all the meetings I've been to for my company, this one was actually pretty entertaining and pretty good. I give them some.
Okay.
They did a good job of it. And they fed us well. That's always a sign. It's a good meeting when they feed you good.
Oh, yeah.
And
they have to. It's especially if they're like, disrupting your day, your normal flow of events,
They grilled burgers, and these weren't just like microwave heated. They actually took the time to grill them, and
oh wow,
chips and cookies and soda we wanted. So it was good, man.
Well, that's neat.
And and now I start vacation today, so I'm off the next 9 days, and don't have to worry about work. Just some podcasting, and hopefully watch some movies, and we'll go hang out Wednesday and celebrate me getting a year older the day after my birthday. But that's okay. That's just when we're all available. So
yeah.
It'll be good. But man, how's your week been? All right.
Yeah. I had a long drive out here. It wasn't bad though. There's a lot of like 75 mile an hour speed limit zones over here, and I was like, really 75? I'm like, okay,
Probably. I don't think I've been out to Corpus since I had to be young. It might have been Michael's age, 14, 15 years old.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a while for me, too.
I might have been out there once in Scouts when I was like 16, 17, but it's been some years.
Yeah, we used to go out here for our annual spring trip for a band, and we'd go compete out here whenever I was in high school. And so I haven't been out here since 2005.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just remember, here's what I remember from the last time I was there. Very dirty beaches. I mean, that's just what I remember. And people say Galveston's dirty. I remember going to Corpus and thinking, wow, this is disgusting.
Wow.
I know they have the famous South Padre Island that's supposedly cleaner and all that, but the actual beaches when I went to Corpus back years ago just remember being really filthy.
Wow.
And I don't know if it's still like that, but So.
We're going to the Rockport Beach. So I that's supposed to be one of the clean. I think it makes the top 10 cleanest beach list in Texas, but that's not saying a ton.
Right.
Because our grading curve is skewed. So
Be
it's
careful of the jellyfish overpopulation.
yeah,
It's been bad in Galveston, but it's even worse down south, because that's how the water flows. It all goes down that way.
yeah. And this year, whenever I was in Galveston about a month or so ago, we saw more jellyfish than we've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
So it's that's worth noting. Gotta watch out for those jellyfish.
Yeah, I'm supposed to go to Galveston sometime in September, and I'm thinking like I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time in the water. I'm just like, I don't do the jellyfish thing. So.
Yeah, man, it definitely ruins your day whenever you got to figure out if you need someone to pee on you or not. You know, it's like unless you're into that. You know, some people are into that. You know, to each their own, man. But it definitely can throw a wrench into your day.
Don't talk about my kinks like that, man.
It's a little bit of pee.
Gross.
Yeah, funny. That'll be the
shit on me, baby.
It'll no. It'll be the second talk about pee today, or the first of two talks about pee, because this movie has a pee scene in it where they talk about it.
You have to refresh me when we get to that.
Yeah.
But dude, I have to disagree with you on Transformers: Rise of the Beast, man. I found it pretty entertaining. I watched that this week, and it's fine, man. I think my biggest beef with it is it's supposed to be a sequel to Bumblebee, but it doesn't feel connected to Bumblebee.
Yeah, feels pretty disconnected.
Yeah, it's like, why didn't they bring Haley Steinfeld back? Have Optimus show up on Earth and meet up with Bumblebee, like, yo, what's up, man? Hey, man, I'm Optimus. I've been taking care of this girl. She's hot, whatever,
Yeah.
And just fucking connect the movie somehow, Instead, you jump, 7-8 years later into 1994, and it's like, there's no connection to Bumblebee. And I think that was probably my biggest beef with it. But once the movie gets rolling, I thought it was badass to see the Primals, Optimus Primal, and the Maximals. Sorry, I don't know why I call them the Primals. And I thought, oh, that was really cool. I mean, the story is almost exactly the same as the first Transformers movie. You have this all-powerful spark thing that Megatron wants. In this case, it's Unicron who wants it so that he can transport through portals and eat all the planets and be an almighty powerful being. So, there were some nitpicky things like that. The story was the same and stuff we've seen before, but, it wasn't as good as Bumblebee, but it was still better than some of the Age of Extinction and some of those Transformers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it ain't the worst Transformers movie.
It had some decent fights in it and stuff, and, it didn't cost me nothing to watch it. I'm paying for Paramount Plus anyway, so, I watched it.
Mm-hmm.
I did like the design they used for Optimus Prime, kind of a blend between Generation 1 and the newer stuff. I thought it was cool. It looked cool on screen. Seeing RC on screen was cool. And I did like, as a Transformers fan, there's a ton of nods to the original lore, like especially Unicron. They even used his same music from the animated movie in briefly.
Oh, wow.
So there are a lot of cool nods into his, what's his name, from Into the Heights, getting the exosuit. Like Daniel in the animated movie. So lots of cool new nods to that. Which there's some stuff as a Transformers fan I appreciated. I just wish it would have connected more as a sequel to Bumblebee, because I thought that was the whole point in making Bumblebee, was to reboot the franchise, and now you have this second follow up that just is disconnected.
And now it's going for shared universe stuff.
Right.
So I guess it's trying to be in that same vein.
That had been rumored for a while, and I thought that was cool, but like, it would have been cooler and connected better if you had either The Rock or Channing Tatum show up.
Yeah.
And say, hey, at least thinking it's someone recognizable from the films. So I felt that was a missed opportunity. I mean, Channing Tatum ain't done nothing but make a dog movie the last couple of years. You can't call him up and say, hey, man, you want to make a cameo? The Rock would have done it.
Your Rock would have done it for sure.
The Rock will do any fucking thing for money, And I felt like that's cool that they're going to make a Transformers G.I. Joe movie. I think it's a badass idea if it's done right. But I just felt the tease at the end was cool, but yet could have been cooler to have someone from the G.I. Joe movies make a cameo that are already in the universe. but it's a cool idea, and it could work if it's done correctly. I mean,
Yeah, we'll do it Nick Fury style. We're putting together a team.
I mean, those two, they've been synonymous with each other since the 80s, Transformers and G.I. Joe. Everyone knows this.
Yeah.
So I think that's a cool idea. We'll see if it happens. The movie, unfortunately, wasn't real successful at the box office. So how much does Paramount want to keep pumping into these movies, and how much money they want to spend is the big question. I think in order to do G.I. Joe and Transformers, you're going to have to go get a solid name director and maybe a solid star behind it. Will The Rock or Channing Tatum be able to come back? Do they want to come back and do another one? Because obviously this would take place before those movies. I know Channing Tatum's character he dies with the second one.
Yeah, second one.
And so you could bring him back, bring back Dennis Quaid as Duke or something. Who knows? And tie them together. But we'll see.
Dennis Quaid.
And but is what it is.
Sorry.
Don't choke on your knob over there, man.
Had to cough.
That's really the only new thing I watched this week, man. I haven't really had time. I want to try to watch Guardians 3 now. It's on Disney Plus since I missed half of it.
I saw that. I got the notification for that.
While I'm on vacation, I will. I did watch The Flash again since you have it on your account, and the second time watching it, I still like it. But like I do notice the second time watching it that young Barry, he's a little annoying.
A little bit.
It didn't bother me the first viewing because I was so engaged in the film that I didn't let it bother me. The second time watching it, like, my God, would he shut up? Especially when he gets his powers and he's making that weird laugh he does. He sounds like he's fucking shitting himself or something. I don't know. It's like
sounds like he's shitting himself.
That part's a little annoying. But overall, man, I love the Keaton stuff, man. I love the overall feel of the film, and Supergirl's badass. We did a whole episode on it, so I'm not going to go on too much. But I just feel like, man, if you're Michael Keaton, man, and you're like, you sit here, you're discussing these things with Warner Brothers, and Keaton is at a place in his career where he doesn't have to do anything, right? But he's like, you know what? Yeah, I'll do Batman. This sounds like a cool idea. The fans want it. I'm going to do this for the fans. And Keaton said that, hey, I did it for the fans. They wanted me to come back. Okay, 3 movies. Okay, I'll do Flash. Yeah, I'll do. Man, that sounds good. Yeah, make a cameo in Aquaman. Oh, you want me to make a cameo in Batgirl? Okay, yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Then maybe we'll do a Batman Beyond movie in a couple of years. Yeah, I'm down. Keaton's all in, right? I feel like I don't want to make James Gunn the bad guy, but I can't help but think that James Gunn and Peter Safran have come in and tried kind of shit on Keaton's Batman comeback. They allowed the Flash to happen because the film was done. But then they scrapped Batgirl, which I think we all know now that wasn't a Warner Brothers decision to save money. James Gunn and them came in and said, let's scrap this film. And
the movie was friggin' made.
From what I've read about it, it probably was for the better. It seemed really generic, like really like Firefly steals some stuff, Batgirl has to stop him. It felt really generic. The Keaton was basically a couple of cameos. It wasn't even as big of a part as the Flash. So maybe it was for the better. And then the Aquaman was just going to be a cameo. But man, if you're Keaton, you have to. I mean, Michael Keaton's not that he's upset about not making money because the guy's made a ton of money, but I'd be a little disappointed, that this happened, because they kind of just shit canned all over his Batman comeback,
Yeah, man, it was nice seeing Keaton again. I wish we could see more of him, but I just doesn't look good.
Yeah. And I love the scenes in The Flash. And, people said they played that Keaton played him differently. And then I saw a comparison video like on YouTube. And if you watch Keaton, man, he plays him exactly the same. His mannerisms, his face, everything. It's like
he looked the same.
He didn't play him any different, But it was cool, man. It was really cool to get to see him kick a lot of ass in The Flash.
People just say stuff to try and create buzz and get those clicks, those subscriptions, and I tell you, it was the same old Keaton.
I'll tell you another thing too. The CGI, I know a lot's been said about it and how it could be better. I didn't feel it looked as bad on television.
It was a little smoother.
A little smoother. Maybe it wasn't meant to be blown up to 300 feet on the big screen.
Yeah,
a little smoother on TV. But that's really all I watched this week, man. I know you made it to the movies. A movie that I plan on hopefully going to see possibly tomorrow. So by next episode, I'll have my review of it. I
Yeah,
definitely will see it. I just don't know if I'm going to go see it tomorrow. I'm going to go see it Monday.
yeah. My 5-year-old, he wanted a little outing with just me and him, and he wanted to see Turtles, and so we took him to go see Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem, and it's animated in the same vein as Into the Spider-Verse. It's just not as clean. It's a little goes for the more grittier look, kind of like a mix of this new school type of animation that's been awesome as of late, and I guess some of that grittiness of the comics that it's born from. I will say it doesn't stay true to its source material. That's probably the only thing that
I've already read some old school Ninja Turtle fans complaining about that.
That's the only thing that irked me, because it's like, as a fan of that, you're going in and you're just like, what? And I'm like, like if what you call it? Oh, I don't want to make any comparisons, and I know we'll talk about it more next week. Because I don't want to spoil anything, and give away any part of the movie by making an analogy. But if you just look at it as a variation of the story, which is what it is, man, it's fairly entertaining, and that's saying it with me having some reserves about that. I think it's gotten a lot of praise. I don't think it's worth the 95% tomato meter score. I think it's closer to like a B plus. But I do like that you've got all the friggin' mutants in it, as you can see from the trailer. And I think having Superfly in there, just some of these characters you used to fight in the Ninja Turtles arcade game was pretty cool. So seeing that stuff, all in one movie, even though it wasn't, true to source material, it was still entertaining to me, and I still enjoyed it. And your kids are going to enjoy it, and if nothing else, if it just brings Turtles back into the theaters and we get more of it, I think that's worth it.
That's kind of how I felt. Like, when I first saw the trailers, I was like, oh, from Seth Rogen. I'm like, I don't know, this doesn't look all that great. But then I was like, read some reviews and things like that, and that was the other part that got me. Like, it's Ninja Turtles. I have to see this, man. I grew up with this. It's like I got to go watch it.
Yeah,
and that's kind of it's become a nostalgic thing for me now that it did. If it had gotten trash reviews, I probably would stay away from it. But since it's gotten good enough reviews, I'm like, I think it's worth seeing.
Yeah, some people tried to say that they were too goofy, and I definitely feel like the goofiness is turned up a notch. I feel like it's excused because this is like, early teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This isn't like older teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And even in TMNT 2, Secret of the Ooze, they're still goofy. Even Leonardo, who's supposed to be the leader, the more serious one, he's kind of goofy, in TMNT 2. So, in this one, I feel like they all act closer to like what Michelangelo acts like the most, but Michelangelo still sets himself apart in the movie, I feel like. But overall, I think it's entertaining, man. You go there, especially if you went there on the fan event and got the poster and the comic book full of just Ninja Turtle comic book covers. That was really cool. Yeah, man, go see it. I think if you've got some reserves about it, you can have those reserves, but don't exclude your kids from experiencing Ninja Turtles like you did, and if you want to explain, hey, these are the original films, that use this as a gateway drug, show him the original stuff, and that way he sees all of it,
Yeah. Well, my
yeah.
8-year-old doesn't like the Megan Fox ones. He says the turtles look too creepy.
Yeah, they do kind of look, odd.
I mean, yeah.
But the first one's good.
Yeah, and the second one's got Megan in a girl squirrel outfits. I mean,
this is true. They went all the way on April O'Neil. They definitely put all their chips in that bag.
Yeah, I mean, that's okay. Hubba hubba.
Hubba hubba. But that's really about it for me. I did rewatch The Flash as well, and we did a whole episode on that. But I definitely enjoyed it. And CGI definitely better on the second run. That's really all I've touched on this week.
Well, that's cool, man. We're gonna stay within DC and Turtles for a moment in the news. So, along with the movie being released this week, Nickelodeon came out and announced that they're working on a new Turtles animated series for Paramount Plus. It's going to tie directly in with the new film,
Okay.
as well as a sequel to the movie already. And there's been some confusion about this because it read like, is the sequel going to be like a Paramount Plus release or is it going to be theatrical? And Paramount didn't really say. I think it all depends on how well the movie does theatrically. And it's tracking for about a $30 million opening, so not bad for an animated film. So they plan on continuing this new Mutant Mayhem Turtles universe they've created with a new TV show and more movies. So I think that's a good thing. Give me more Turtles.
Yeah, more Turtles.
I still one day would love to see an animated film in the style of the original comic books, where they're dark and gritty and a little more adult. And, we got a tease of it with that Turtles Forever movie, but I would love to see an actual film like that one day. And Wonder Woman 3, is it happening? Is it not? Gal Gadot gave an interview on for something she was doing, and she says that, yeah, we're developing Wonder Woman 3. I'm developing it with James Gunn, and we're talking about it because James Gunn is not directly said. And then, there's some speculation, is Gal Gadot just talking out of her nose, or is she not? But here's my thing. I don't see a reason why Gal Gadot would not be telling the truth.
Yeah.
Here's what I believe is they had a conversation with James Gunn, and James is interested in continuing Wonder Woman with her in it. Because James Gunn has always maintained that, yes, this is a reboot of the DC universe, but we're not ruling out some of these characters continuing on because he knows how popular she was and things like that. So I think it's possible that in her mind they're developing it, but it could have just been a casual conversation. I hope she comes back. Maybe Patty Jenkins will come back too, or maybe she shouldn't come back after the way Wonder Woman 84 turned out.
Yeah. Hard to make that call.
So I really like her in the role, and I hope she is able to come back from work because I think she's perfect.
Same here, man. I think, at first there's some people that had their reserves, but, she showed that, she's a good Wonder Woman and, she's, as ever bit iconic in the role as Cavill was. And I think the uproar, backlash, with her not being in it could be the same, as it is with Cavill, having that, that just bummer, I don't know how I would explain it. Just like, like someone took a shit in your cereal or something, you're just like, man, this sucks. I wanted to see this person in a few more of those movies. She's definitely one of those characters.
Yeah. And she's smoking hot. So.
Yeah.
Speaking of smoking hot, word has it that Vanessa Kirby is playing Sue Storm in Fantastic Four.
Really?
I don't understand how these strikes work. I guess they can't work on films, they can't write movies, but yet they're still allowed to read scripts and be cast. Like they can do casting. I guess casting's still going on. Apparently, casting calls have been going on for Fantastic Four, even though, it looks like Adam Driver is not going to be Reed Richards, which strangely I'm okay with that. I like Adam Driver, but I just didn't see him as Reed Richards. I would still hope that John Krasinski can come back around and play him. But I can see Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm. She definitely knows how to kick ass. We saw that in the Mission Impossible films. I think she'd be a good pick for the role. And
I think that's a good pick for sure. And she was also in Hobbs and Shaw in more of an action role. Yeah. And I know, that movie is what it is, but I feel like it was a little bit more of an action role for her versus like the other roles that I've seen her in, and she did great.
Yeah, I consider her Sue Storm. So sticking with Sony, they had pushed back a bunch of films due to the strike. It looks like Kraven the Hunter may not come out till next year. Venom 3 is going to come out next summer. And along with that is Beyond the Spider-Verse has been taken off the schedule until they know, which really sucks.
Yeah.
So we don't know when we'll get to see the finale of Miles Morales' trilogy.
You jinxed us, man. I blame you.
I didn't. But in the meantime, on September 5th, you can watch Across the Spider-Verse on digital and Blu-ray as it has a release date. That's definitely a must-buy film for my collection.
September 5th?
Yeah.
Man, I thought it was going to release earlier. Because they charged me for my pre-order, and then it appeared in my library, and then I went to go stream it, and then it goes, available soon. I'm like, what's soon?
It could be one of those things where they have an early digital release, I read September 5th as a release date, but maybe they'll do an early digital release. But
we'll see.
So
it's been teasing me.
Across the Spider-Verse very soon. That's it. That's all I got for news, man.
I have one. Paul Rubens died, man.
Oh man, dude, you're right. I completely forgot to write that down, and I apologize to fans of the world. Yeah, man. I guess it's become a thing. That sounds wrong, but some of these celebrities that are in the world, over the last few years have decided to fight their battles with their illnesses privately. Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say that's a thing. That's a respect. That's what they want. And Paul Rubens has followed suit with that. He did not tell the world or anything that he had cancer. And so he spent his last few years quietly in his own with his family and his friends, and spent out the last days of his life in private. And we lost him this week to the horrible disease that so many of us have to face people that we know in our life with. And this was a guy that, just wanted to make children laugh and people laugh, man. That's all he ever wanted to do. He was almost like the goofy version of Mr. Rogers, if that's fair to say.
Yeah. That's probably a fair comparison.
And, he had everyone knows about the famous incident with the law where he got in trouble doing something outside he shouldn't have done. But, to me, that was a very small blip on a man that brought so much joy to boys and girls of the world, and a very, very small blip on an amazing career and things he did, because he took this offbeat TV show called the Pee Wee Herman Show that gained traction, and then he turned it into Pee Wee's Playhouse that gained even more traction.
Yeah,
in a world in which he was fighting against, Sesame Street and Saturday morning cartoons and things like that, and he took this offbeat humor show and turned it into a massively successful television show that was followed by people around the world, and it was a risk, but people believed in him. He believed in himself, and he did it. And a couple of successful films. Tim Burton, when he met Pee Wee, he was wasn't sure. He's like, I don't know, man, this guy, I don't know if this is going to work. And Tim Burton's kind of weird himself.
Yeah. Yeah. For Tim Burton to say that.
And even Tim was like, man, I don't know. But Tim sat down and talked with him, and he saw his passion. He believed in him, and they made Pee Wee's Big Adventure. Tim Burton believed in it, and that's pretty cool, and of course the rest they can say is history. The movie was a big success. Big Top Pee Wee, not so much the big success, because I think I read Big Top Pee Wee came out against something really popular, if I remember right. And that's why it wasn't as successful.
Yeah, that's caused the downfall of a lot of decent films.
Yeah, and then he made a brief comeback. He had a Netflix movie a couple years ago, the Pee Wee Holiday movie, which was I heard was pretty decent. But man, Paul Rubens just a good one. I know you were a big Pee Wee fan growing up too.
Yeah, I still have a Pee Wee Herman doll, not complete. I think I'm missing his jacket, and I've got a Pee Wee kite, and I think I have a few small action figures in the attic, maybe. But I had everything. Of course, that's how it is. You don't know what kind of value you've got until the person passes away, and everything goes up to like $400 on eBay. But I had all of his toys. I was obsessed. My aunt would call, and I'd answer the phone. It's Pee Wee Herman.
What? That surprised me with you. One bit.
Be like, hello, is anyone there? Ah, you said the magic word. Yeah, but man,
I know you are, but what am I became famous with his show.
Now you are. What am I? Then he just keep going back and forth. He did it with The Rock whenever he was on WWE. He did it on a couple other shows. I think it was on like Brooklyn Nine-Nine or something like that. Yeah.
I mean, fucking Morpheus. Lawrence Fishburne got his start on his show.
Yes, Cowboy Kurt. He was so skinny back then.
It's so awesome, man. When you think about it, freaking Morpheus, man.
Mm-hmm. And then I like whenever the Dark Knight Rises came out, and Jimmy Kimmel replaced all of the characters with like Pee Wee Herman, and had him do like Pee Wee Herman impersonations for every part of the cameo. It was pretty funny. But man, he was a good comedian, and he was very entertaining. And his whole bit was just top notch, man. And it's almost, I almost want to say it's timeless, because I feel like, I did watch Pee-wee's Big Adventure this past week. I bought it because, of course it went on sale for $5.99. So why not just own it? And, upon rewatching it years later, found it still entertaining.
Yeah, look, his movies aren't streaming anywhere. You would think Netflix would have them, considering they have his new movie, but they don't have the originals. Yeah. Only the Pee Wee Herman show is streaming on HBO Max, but not not Pee Wee's Playhouse. But is Pee Wee's Playhouse, was it Nickelodeon? Maybe they own it. I don't remember who.
Nickelodeon may own it.
I was wondering who. I can remember who aired it back in the day. But yeah. But definitely one of the great ones. But he left a legacy, man, for sure. And to entertain children for years to come. Just an awkwardly funny person, but funny. He's one. Yeah. When you first watch him, you're not sure how to take his humor, but once you get used to it, you're like, okay.
You're like, all right, I can dig this.
He did his thing, man, and I'm glad you remembered. I can't believe I did not write that down, because I had it in the back of my mind too, and I just forgot to write it down the news.
All good, man. That's why I'm here. So I'm here to catch the rebound, baby. Catch the rebound.
All right. So, this movie I picked today is from my favorite director of all time, John Woo. And this was his, not his first film, but his first of his heroic bloodshed films. This is the movie that kind of created the genre. And for me, I saw this after I had seen Hardboiled and The Killer. And so, I saw these two hardcore action films that are balls to the walls, shootouts, and gunfights and everything. And then you go back and you watch A Better Tomorrow, which is the film we're talking today, and it has its gunfights in it, but it's also a bit more pulled back, if that's fair to say, because it's very much a story about these two brothers and the life they hope to have after some troubles they've been through.
Emotional, tough guys.
Since this is the first time you've ever seen this, I want you to give it a summary.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like you said, you've got these two brothers, Ho and Kit. And, Kit is, graduating the HK Police Academy. He's very good. He's a top student, and he's getting noticed. But, his brother, who also carries a gun, as he reminds him whenever they're joking around, he carries a gun because he works for the Triad, along with Mark. Not you, but, Chow Yun Fat. Yeah. And, so... he's doing that, even though his brother is a good guy. And, unfortunately it does get their dad in trouble, because they don't want Ho to talk while he's in prison. I guess, they send an enforcer to go, make an example out of his dad. His dad ends up getting killed. Jackie, Kit's, girlfriend serious girlfriend is beat up. And, Kit is bloodied as he, tried his best to defend his father. This obviously causes a rift between both of them.
Well, back up just a little bit. Remember, Ho goes to jail to protect Mark, who's a middleman in the mob.
Yes. So and that's why he's in jail.
Right. So while Ho is in prison, Mark kind of steps in and says, well, I'm going to take over your role, dude.
Yes. Yeah. He steps in there and takes over where Ho left off. while this happens, you have Mark going in to take out this rival gang, which kind of caused Ho to get caught. He went in there to do some business dealings, and he got a double cross, which double crosses happen a few times in this film, and unfortunately, leaves Mark kind of crippled a little bit. He gets shot in the leg by someone who he thought was dead, but damn it, you got to shoot him in the head next time, Mark. And he gets shot in the leg, and then you see him as kind of like this gimpy errand boy. Yep. Unfortunately, Ho gets out of prison, gets into a little scuffle with his brother because his brother just can't let the past die, even though his father's dying wish was to not hate his brother and to try and get along with his brother. That didn't work because there's still some resentment there. Ho becomes a taxi cab driver, and his crap. I always forget his name. The person that took over. The old guy that's kind of took in, is trying to get them all together, trying to get Mark in there, trying to get Ho in there, and
get Ho to come back in.
Get some more drug money, get Ho to go for the old clients to bring them back. And Ho's like, I'm not having any of it. I want out. And he's like, tries to throw, Mark at him, saying, I only kept Mark around for you. And they beat the shit out of Mark. They destroy the taxi company that he worked for, that this guy takes in ex-convicts, and it just it doesn't get any better. The relationship between Kit and Ho, as Kit is denied a promotion, and in Asian culture, it's like if you're denied something like that, I mean, that's a huge deal, especially in this era. I feel like, that really just caused a bigger rift between them, because here he is trying to do the right thing, and he's getting held back because of his brother. Ultimately, they're able to set up a meeting between Shin. That's it. That's Shin, or Shing. And, there's a double cross there again, as they capture his brother, who's trying to go at it alone. They've got, they exchange Shin for his brother, and then a scuffle ensues right as they're passing each other at the end. And, there's a big shootout. Mark ends up dying, but Ho and Kit are able to rekindle, their relationship as brothers, as, Ho delivers the final blow to Shin and takes him out, because Shin's like, I'm just going to give myself up, and I'll be back out in days with money, and you're going away for good. And he's like, not if I can help it. And so it's definitely not like Hard Boiled. It's not like The Killer, as far as like the abundance of action sequences, right. Because you're developing this tough guy, this emotional tough guy aspect, this tough guy with with some skeletons in his closet, some unresolved differences, and you develop this emotional connection with these characters. And I feel like, man, Chow Yun-fat, he just very slickly became this action hero. Whenever he doesn't really look like one, but he can definitely pull it off on the screen. Well, and every movie I see him with Wu is great. And even though the pacing is not as fast paced as some of these other films, it's definitely a good performance with all involved, and it definitely shows Wu's stylistic differences among the other Hong Kong directors at the time.
Right. Well, he cast Chow Yun-fat because he wanted someone like that, who was not known for playing action movies. He wanted a regular looking guy, and so Wu did that on purpose, and of course turned him into an international superstar with these films, because Wu had not had, or Chow Yun-fat had not had a lot of box office success before this. And you're right, the film is only 96 minutes, but it has an epic feel to it for a 96-minute film.
Yeah, Feels longer.
And it's because of the emotional development between the brothers and the other characters of the film. And this is one of those movies that, like, after you watch The Killer and Hardboiled first, and you go back and you watch this, and then you go back and watch The Hardboiled The Killer again, and you realize that John Woo has been doing this throughout his films. This emotional, he gives his action heroes and his action stars an emotional background that you don't always maybe notice because you're caught up in the action of the films.
Yeah.
Better Tomorrow lets that breathe better. And yeah, it can even be said about Face Off. There's a lot of emotion in Face Off of what Sean Archer faces, having to turn into Castor Troy. And we saw it with Detective Tequila in Hardboiled, and we definitely saw it with Mickey Mouse and the Killer. You know, the emotional things he went through, because it was all about him righting his wrong by blinding Jenny, you know, and saving her in the Killer. And this, it's all about these two brothers and their reconciliation to have a better tomorrow, because that's what the film is about, because they just survival, ultimately. Surviving this ordeal you're in so that we can have peace with each other and at the end of this film. And Woo, and it shows on screen. And Woo took a little heat when this film came out for, you know, what they said, homoeroticism back then.
Yeah, glorifying the triad.
And glorifying the triads. You know, the Japanese weren't too happy when the film released and things. The film was so popular with young men that they were selling out trench coats and sunglasses everywhere because they looked like the young cat.
Even in the summer, they're wearing trench coats in the summer trying to look like this guy.
This movie was the highest grossing film in the Hong Kong's box office for several years, up until I think 91, 92. So it held the record for like 5 or 6 years. So it was extremely popular. It put John Woo on the map as far as a director. And he had done some films, like a couple of kung fu films and things before this, but nothing to this extent. It created a new genre that I think now that you have completed the so-called heroic genre trilogy of Hardboiled, The Killer, and A Better Tomorrow, I think more than ever you can see the influence he's had on American directors.
Big time.
From Michael Bay to Quentin Tarantino himself to Chad Straczynski, however you say it, that did the John Wick films. It's obvious, isn't it?
Yeah, Pulp Fiction is definitely taken a lot of inspiration from Woo films, especially when you see all three of those. Just, you know, the pan in on the gun, the close up of the shooter's face, you know, and the two guns that just happen to not run out of ammunition very often. Right. You know, that's all taken from, you know, Woo took that from Western and turned it into something else. And Tarantino, you know, and some of these other directors have definitely borrowed from that. So, you know, he's definitely made an impact over here in America.
Yeah. Woo was a huge Clint Eastwood fan. He definitely watched spaghetti westerns. He's said it in interviews before. I've watched a lot of John Woo stuff.
Yeah.
He wanted his action stars to look like Clint Eastwood. You know, he said that before. And, you know, in his style and his approach to action cinema, at that point, you think about this, Matt, in 1986, man, what was an American action star? It was Sylvester Stallone, it was Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I love those guys just like you, but it was be as big, as tough as you can and destroy the bad guys. You believe that these bad guys could be taken out all by one man. That's what American action stars were at that point until a couple years later when Bruce Willis came around with Die Hard and an action man started becoming an everyday cop. You know, that's about when it changed. You know, but Woo saw past that. He said, man, you know, he growing up in war-torn countries and communism and things that John Woo grew up with, he saw his heroes in a different light. You know, he saw chivalry and he saw policemen that could be heroes and he saw that people could be redeemed, and he based a lot of his stuff on that, and that his heroes could be regular guys that could save someone and they weren't over the top heroes, and that's what he saw in Chow Yun Fat and you know, the other people. And what's the guy Tony Leung, you know, and people like that he
cast. Tony Leung, yeah.
These guys that were just regular looking guys. They weren't overpowering, but you believe they could be your heroes. And that's why he cast these guys. And Woo brought us, obviously he's known for his slow motion and his, definitely, I mean, there's no doubt John Woo watched Sergio Leone films, seeing the looking at the eyes and the focus on the emotion of the character and things like that. And it's all right there in front of you in these films. And his next movie he made after this, which I talked about a few months ago that I had never seen before until recently, Bullet in the Head. Bullet in the Head is stylistically very different from this movie, but the aspects are there, the emotions of the characters and the things that these characters go through in their journeys. And that's what I've always felt about Woo's early Hong Kong work. It's not they're action films, but they're also journeys these characters go on. Whether it was Detective Tequila or Mark or Kit or Ho in this film, it's a journey they go through to get to their point.
You're going to follow that character, through his development throughout the whole film.
Yeah.
And he's definitely got characters in there with an arc that's that you can relate to in some way.
It's not just a MacGuffin. It's just not Arnold Schwarzenegger going in and saving his daughter. I mean, that's not important, but American action films were so simplified at the time. Whether it's Snake Plissken going in and saving the president, they were really, there was no emotion to them, and you believed the entire time. You knew that Snake was going to save the day. You knew that John Rambo
Matrix.
John Matrix or John Rambo were going to save the day. You knew they were. Well, Woo presented these films and was anyone safe? You didn't know, and he does kill characters in his movies.
Yeah,
and for him to be doing that in 1986, 1988, 1989 was different than anything people were seeing in America. And when these films came over here, that's why they were so influential to a young guy sitting at home like Michael Bay, Quentin Tarantino, Chad Kaczynski, and these young directors, man, that were watching this stuff and man, I want to make fucking movies like this,
Hell yeah, dude.
And out of all those guys, obviously Kaczynski's doing very well with the John Wick films, and Tarantino's obviously had a successful career. Michael Bay's had a successful career, and they watched these John Woo films when they were young kids themselves. And there's no doubt that he's influenced Hollywood so much. I mean, you could almost argue Bruce Lee is obviously hugely influential to American culture and what he brought for martial arts. And if you really study film, John Woo's highly influential to what he's brought to young American directors.
Yeah, just the you can tell, and sometimes it's hard to explain what a Woo film is until you watch it, and then you start seeing other films like Kill Bill, and you're like, man, this is this feels like a Woo film a little bit, and maybe I don't know, Michael Bay. I wonder what Michael Bay films you would feel kind of resemble.
I think
like Rock?
Stylistically, The Rock. Yes, definitely some of the shootouts. That's probably the closest thing he's ever done to a influenced by John Woo type film. Yeah,
that's probably fair. But yeah, I mean, and not so much his other films like Wind Talkers, but yeah, these films, his early work, especially in Hong Kong when he had all of his creative ideas, able to be used in an entire film versus being held back here in America.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Face Off is obviously his closest film to his Hong Kong counterparts. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
You see elements of a good Woo film in Broken Arrow, and you see elements of a good Woo film in Hard Target. To be fair, stylistically, Hard Target might be the closest to his Hong Kong films besides Face Off. If you could almost argue that. And so much the fact that Tom Cruise seeked Woo out. He specifically wanted Woo to make Mission Impossible 2. Now, did Cruise know that Paramount was going to step in and cut the film and tell him you can't do all this? No. And it pissed Woo off to the point that he made one more film because he was under contract for Paramount, and he made Paycheck, which was terrible, and he said, I'm done. And he went back to make films in Hong Kong, and he went to make The Amazing Red Cliff, which is an incredible film. And Red Cliff is completely different than anything else he's ever done either, because it's a historical drama, but it's a really good film. And you got to think, Paramount's got to think, man, the Mission Impossible series has been so successful since then. Why didn't we just let Woo do what he wanted? And, maybe 2 would have been better, well received. And I like 2 for what it is, but it could have been better. I would love to see the 3-hour work print that's apparently out there somewhere one day. That'd be amazing.
see the extra scenes and maybe some of the stuff that the studio deemed unnecessary. Get to see more of Woo's work.
Yeah, but apparently there's also a director's cut of Paycheck out there, also another film that the studio cut up. But back to A Better Tomorrow. This movie again was so highly successful that they did make a sequel to it, and Woo didn't really want to do a sequel. He's like, man, the brothers redeemed themselves, but he sat down with his producer Sweetheart and he did it. They came up with an idea, and of course Mark Chow Yun-fat comes back as his twin brother in the second one. And the second one's okay. The shootout at the end is amazing, but it's not
the fried rice scene.
The fried rice scene's pretty funny. The third one has nothing to even really do with the first and second ones. It's just a sequel by name. But the second one is worth watching. It's worth seeking out. It's a good sequel. It's not great, but it's good. There are people that prefer the second one to the first one. And I think that's only because of the huge action shootout at the end. In fact, I would say the action shootout at the end of part 2 is probably one of Woo's, maybe one among his best. I will give that movie that credit. It's a really fantastic shootout at the end of the film.
Okay.
But A Better Tomorrow is such a solid film for its 96-minute runtime. One thing I noticed about this film is, and you talked about it a little bit earlier, really good performances for a Hong Kong film for the 1980s.
Yes,
the actors really are into their roles and really do their all. Very good practical effects, a lot of good gunplay in this with a low budget. And Woo was a master of that back then. He could turn in movies under budget and low budget. He knew ways to make them. And it gave us Chow Yun-fat, man, which went on to highly successful career playing in The Killer and Hardboiled, and came to America to do some films. And
Bulletproof Monk.
Man, the Replacement Killers was kind of cool.
Oh yeah, Replacement Killers. Yeah.
Now, what was the one he did with Mark Wahlberg? That wasn't that good. I can't think of the
what
name
did he
of
do
it.
with Mark Wahlberg?
Yeah, it was another one of those action movies, just generic things. It wasn't that great. And of course he was very well known for his performance Anna and the King with Jodie Foster. He got a lot of recognition for that. And then, but hey, him and Woo both didn't have as much success in America as they had with their Hong Kong films. And now rumor is that Woo is making a new film for America. And I've heard it's coming out later this year. It's it's an almost completely silent film. It's going to star Joel Kinnaman, of course, who played Rick Flag in Suicide Squad, and it's called Silent Night.
Okay.
Apparently, Woo is making a new American film for the first time in years. He's going to give it another try. So I'm not sure the premise of Silent Night, but apparently that's coming out later this year or early next year. So we'll see.
I forget that he was in Dragon Ball Evolution.
Oh yeah.
I mean, good pick for Roshi, but
nobody talks about that movie.
Yeah.
I think
not in a positive way.
No. Well, the only I'll give that movie one positive. I'll be nice. Piccolo looks kind of cool.
Piccolo.
Yeah, they actually made Piccolo looks kind of. He looked right in the movie. But the rest of it's trash. Well, originally, real quick, brief moment on that Dragon Ball Evolution, because we'll never cover on the show. Originally the script, like if you watch the movie, the script isn't terrible, okay? But the idea was to have big name stars in it with a big name budget. You pull the script off, big special effects, it looks cool. But the studio wasn't sure if Dragon Ball was that popular, because at the time it really wasn't. It was popular to a certain niche market. That's fair to say, right?
That's fair.
If you were to make this movie in 2023, Dragon Ball would be huge, right?
Oh,
But back when they did that live, so the studio backed off the budget. They backed off hiring all the big actors and everything, and that's why you got what you got.
The Corruptor is that movie with
Mark Wahlberg.
Mark Wahlberg, yeah.
But
48% on Rotten Tomatoes. Even the audience score gave it a 57, so it's not that great.
I mean, The Replacement Killers wasn't great either, but I remember liking it. It was okay. Because I think The Replacement Killers was like his first big solo American film, if I remember right. We're not being fair to our boy Chow Yun. Come on, man, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, man.
And that's a
2000.
That's a truly great movie. But man, I am glad that you watched A Better Tomorrow, and I'm glad I picked it for my birthday pick because I've always loved this film. Yeah, the first time I saw this was on VHS, so that's how long ago I saw it.
Wow.
And and it's unfortunate that even now you cannot get this movie anywhere. It is available on iTunes, but it's the 4K remaster that came out in Hong Kong last year. And
okay.
The remaster is fine. The movie looks good, but the subtitles are terrible on it. There's a lot of broken English, just not good subtitles. And it's a shame that they have not done a good job preserving some of these Asian cinema films and giving them proper releases in America. Like Bullet in the Head, I had to bootleg. I have a bootleg copy of A Better Tomorrow. It's very difficult to find The Killer and Hardboiled. They are available on Blu-ray in America, but they're out of print. So you got to find them on eBay. Hopefully you can find good prices. But again, I know a website that you can get bootleg copies of The Killer and Hardboiled as well for like $10, and it's unfortunate. And now with the advent of streaming, physical copies of these movies may never exist again unless you get them through bootlegs. And it's unfortunate that these truly great films are getting lost in the streaming wars. And all you can do is hope that one day Netflix or whatever streaming service chooses to preserve these films and put them out on streaming for people to watch. The Killer was on Netflix for a while, and then it went off. And because I mean, if you're an action movie fan and you've never seen Hardboiled, you've never really seen an action movie.
Yeah, you've got to see Hardboiled.
I mean,
if you don't watch any other Woo film, watch Hardboiled.
Yeah, it's my number one action movie of all time. I mean, I've said that before. I love Hardboiled, and I like A Better Tomorrow a lot too for certain reasons. I just think it's a really good story about these two brothers and a really good redemption story and a well made film.
Yeah. Oh, and John Woo is the inspector. Yes. He's Inspector Woo.
Yeah, he used to do the Hitchcock thing with cameo in his films. He actually remember he plays the guy at the bar in Hardboiled.
That's right.
Bar.
Yeah.
I think he has a cameo in The Killer as well, and I'm pretty sure he cameoed in Bullet in the Head. So yeah, that was John Woo's thing, man. But a maestro, one of my, like I said, my all-time favorite director, and I love it, man. I imagine one day we'll do Broken Arrow just for the hell of it because it's a fun movie and.
Yeah,
continue to cover some John Woo films, and maybe we'll do A Better Tomorrow Part 2 even one day. So
very 90s. That we probably won't do. We can't do Better Tomorrow Part 3 though because Woo wouldn't do it.
No, it's directed by. That's when him and his producer friend Sweetheart had a falling out over doing Part 3 because Woo was like, "No, I'm done," and Sweetheart's going to do it anyway. And to this day, almost 30 years later, him and Sweetheart don't talk very much. They had a falling out over that, so it is what it is.
It is what it is, man. It happens. Sometimes you're going to piss some people off.
That's it. Got to piss some people off along the way. All right. Well, next week's film, we're going to start a series of some family-friendly, kid-friendly films. And in the middle of these three films, we're going to have a back-to-school special. We'll explain more on that later. That's going to be a lot of fun to do. We're going to kick off this kind of trilogy of animated films. They're all animated. And we're going to kick it off with a Studio Ghibli modern classic. This was I'm always butcher his name, Miyazaki's follow-up to Spirited Away. This was the first film he did after that. And it's actually not an original screen. Well, it's an original screenplay, but it's actually adapted from a novel. And it's I don't think it's as good as Spirited Away because Spirited Away I think is his masterpiece, but I think this is a really good film too, with a lot of imagination and wonderful adventure in it that's come to from Miyazaki films, and that is Howl's Moving Castle.
From master filmmaker Hayao Miyazaki, the director of the Academy Award-winning Spirited Away.
That is ancient sorcery, and quite powerful too.
This summer, experience the epic tale of a young woman transformed by a mysterious curse.
That's really me, isn't it?
An enchanted moving castle
This is a magic house.
And the one wizard powerful enough to set her free.
This charm will guarantee your safe return.
Walt Disney Studios presents a Studio Ghibli production of a Hayao Miyazaki film.
Hold on.
This June, journey to amazing new worlds
Find me in the future!
aboard Howl's moving castle.
This is another one of those movies from him that just you can't sit and watch it without just wondering how he comes up with these amazing concepts in his mind.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy is Walt Disney and George Lucas all combined into one. I mean, that's the highest of honors we can give Miyazaki.
Definitely.
Just the stuff this guy creates in his mind and he envisions on screen, and you when you're watching his movies, it's like truly being taken to another world, and you get caught up into it, and before you know it, 2 hours go by, and you went on a wonderful adventure, and we're gonna talk about it.
Yeah, that's a good way of explaining it.
I mean,
it's they're unique.
Yeah, and they're a little weird sometimes. They're a little bizarre, but you get caught up into them because they're just the way he presents it, like so good.
It works, man.
And just like if you've never seen an action film till you see a John Woo film, if you've only grown up with Disney, you've only seen half the picture, man. And you have to watch some Miyazaki films. I mean, they're just incredibly, amazingly done.
And the actors that he gets to do these parts, I mean, Mark Hamill, Christian Bale, Billy Crystal, it's like you Mark Hamill did I think 2 or 3 films for Miyazaki.
Yeah. Yeah. Great American voice cast. I know Matt Damon did a film and other ones.
Yeah.
We've already covered Spirited Away and Princess Mononoke, and so we've done a couple of his films. And so next week we're going to talk Howl's Moving Castle. And if you want to watch before you listen to the show next week, it is available on HBO Max. So watch along with us and come back next week and listen to the show. But until then, the rebelradiopodcast.com. For all your Rebel Radio needs, follow us along on Facebook and X. And
yes, X.
And Spotify, iHeartRadio, Podbean, all those great places you want to listen to the show, you can find us. And thank you as always for listening. And and it was always fun doing our birthday picks, and this was a good one.
Yeah, man, you get to look into our a film that's sentimental to us, and know that Woo is holds a special place in your heart. And
second time I picked a John Woo film because I think I did The Killer a couple years ago. Yeah,
man, I think you always pick a good pick, man. It's always a good movie. And I enjoyed watching it, man. I might have to go check out secondhand sloppy second sales, and get that trilogy.
I wanted to do this movie last year, but it was not really available. And then it came available on iTunes, and then it came available through sloppy second sales, and so it was easier to get a hold of this year. But last year I looked, I couldn't find it anywhere. I was like, well, we can't do this. We can't watch it. So it worked out this year. So But yeah, man, as always, thank you guys for listening. We appreciate it. And until next time, this has been Mark.
This has been Matt.
Remember, as always, just go there.
Just go there and do it.